I really do not like hustle culture. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the constant pressure to work harder, achieve more, and never stop grinding, this video is for you. Hustle culture has taken over our lives, glorifying overwork and leaving little room for rest or personal fulfillment. Today, we're diving into why this mindset is problematic, how it affects us, and what we can do to break free. If you find this discussion resonates with you, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get started. All right, so basically, hustle culture is the societal obsession with constant productivity. It's the idea that your worth is tied to how much you can accomplish, how many hours you work, and how little you sleep. Social media is filled with influencers and entrepreneurs preaching that success only comes from waking up at 4 a.m., working 80-hour weeks, and sacrificing everything else. They share quotes like, sleep is for the weak, or if you're not working, you're losing. This narrative has become so pervasive that it feels like the only path to achievement. Conveniently, these same people never tell you about the part where they sell garbage courses and make money off of low effort sales tactics that is borderline scammy, but I digress. Let's take a step back though. Where did this mindset come from? Hustle culture actually has its roots in the industrial era. Think of the mid 1700s to mid 1800s, where long hours in factories were equated with productivity. In the digital age, it's been amplified by technology and social media, which make it easy to compare ourselves to others. The gig economy, with its emphasis on side hustles and freelancing, has also fueled this idea that we should always be working. The problem is, this constant drive to do more ignores the human need for balance. Hustle culture doesn't just affect entrepreneurs or high powered executives, it's everywhere. Students are pressured to juggle academics, extracurriculars, and part time jobs. Think about it. High school students wake up at 6 a.m., they go to school at 7 a.m. until, I don't know, 3 p.m., and then they play a sport for an hour or so, let's say 5 p.m., and then some even work a part time job for a couple hours. That is actually a tremendous amount of time. You also have parents expected to excel at work while managing a perfect household. Even hobbies are turning into side gigs, with people monetizing everything from knitting to photography. It also doesn't help that the economy is so bad and has been since 2020 that without a side hustle, you are indeed struggling. The message is clear. If you're not productive, you're not enough. So, why do I dislike hustle culture so much? Let's break down its biggest flaws. First, it glorifies burnout. When we're told that working until exhaustion is a badge of honor, we push ourselves beyond our limits. Studies show that chronic overwork leads to stress, anxiety, and depression. A 2015 study from the American Psychological Association found that prolonged work stress increases the risk of burnout, which can cause emotional exhaustion and reduce performance. Yet, hustle culture dismisses these warning signs, telling us to push through instead of rest. It's not right, and everyone deserves a break every so often. This doesn't mean being lazy and calling it balancing your life, but still, literally everyone needs a break sometimes. Second, hustle culture equates busyness with success. Being busy doesn't mean that you're effective. Ask anyone who's ever been junior enlisted in the military. Motor pool Mondays or a Connex layout and reorganizing it, just because. But anyways, research from Stanford University shows that productivity drops significantly after 50 hours of work per week. After 70 hours, the output is equivalent to someone working 55 hours. This means that those extra hours hustling might actually be wasted effort. Quality matters more than quantity, but hustle culture ignores this. Of course, there is always outliers to this, but I digress. Third, it devalues rest and personal time. Sleep, hobbies, and relationships are often seen as obstacles to success. How many times have you heard someone brag about pulling an all-nighter or skipping family events for work? This mindset creates a culture where self-care is an afterthought. But rest isn't laziness, it's essential. The National Sleep Foundation recommends 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night per adults, yet hustle culture celebrates those who survive on 4 or 5 hours. This isn't sustainable, and it takes a toll on our health. Google the term sleep debt and see how it affects your mood, productivity, and your health, like your blood pressure, stress levels, and concentration. Fourth, hustle culture is exclusionary. Not everyone has the same opportunities to hustle. People with disabilities, chronic illnesses, or caregiving responsibilities often can't work 12-hour days, and that's okay. Yet, hustle culture implies that if you're not keeping up, you're failing. This creates a harmful narrative that ignores systemic barriers and individual circumstances. Finally, it's built on a shaky promise. Hustle culture tells us that if we work hard enough, we'll achieve our dreams. But the reality is more complicated than that. Hard work is important, don't get me wrong, but it's not the only factor. Luck, privilege, and timing play huge roles in success. I can already predict the comments, someone calling me a hater or whatever for saying it takes a little bit of luck. I implore you to please watch any interview with a legitimately successful entrepreneur or CEO, and almost every single one will say it takes a lot of hard work, of course, but also they got a little bit lucky with something in one way or another. Kai Cenat and Jeff Bezos immediately come to mind when I say this. But anyways, hustle culture oversimplifies this, setting unrealistic expectations and leaving people feeling inadequate when they don't make it, per se. Let's talk about how hustle culture affects us on a personal level. I'll share a hypothetical example to illustrate this. Imagine Sarah, 25-year-old graphic designer. She loves her job, but she's constantly pressured to take on more projects to prove her worth. She sees her peers on social media boasting about their side hustles and early morning routines, so she starts waking up at 5 a.m. to work on freelance gigs before her 9 to 5 job. She skips workouts, cuts back on time with friends, and barely sleeps. At first, she feels productive, but soon she's exhausted. Her creativity suffers, her relationships strain, and she starts questioning her self-worth. Sarah's story isn't unique. Many of us have felt this pressure to do more, be more, and achieve more. I've been there myself, staying up late to finish tasks because I thought that's what success required. But I realized that this cycle of overwork was making me miserable, not successful. Hustle culture tricks us into thinking we're failing if we're not constantly busy, but that's a lie. Our value is not tied to our output, and I will die on that hill. Hustle culture also affects our mental health. The World Health Organization estimates that stress-related disorders cost businesses billions of dollars annually due to lost productivity and healthcare costs. When we prioritize work over everything else, we risk losing ourselves. We stop doing things that bring us joy, like reading, gaming, outdoors activities, and spending time with loved ones. Over time, this erodes our sense of identity and purpose. Hustle culture doesn't just harm individuals, it shapes society in troubling ways. For one, it perpetuates unhealthy lifestyles. Those who can't keep up with the hustle, whether due to health issues, financial constraints, or other responsibilities, are left behind. This widens the gap between the haves and the have-nots, as only those with certain privileges can sustain the hustle lifestyle. You will not sleep, you will not take care of yourself, and you will not have time to cook healthy food. You must go, go, go. Next, it also undermines workplace culture. Companies that celebrate overwork often foster toxic environments. Employees feel pressured to stay late or answer emails at midnight to prove their dedication. This creates a race to the bottom, where everyone is overworked and underappreciated. A 2021 Gallup study found that high employee engagement is linked to a better work-life balance, not longer hours. Companies that prioritize well-being over hustle see better results, but many are still stuck in the old mindset. Hustle culture also distorts our values. When we prioritize productivity above all else, we lose sight of what truly matters, which is community, creativity, compassion, empathy, and health. We start seeing people as competition rather than collaborators. We judge others based on their output rather than their character. This shift in priorities makes it harder to build meaningful connections and a fulfilling life. So, how do we escape hustle culture? It's not easy, but it's possible. Here are some practical steps to reclaim your time and your well-being. First, set boundaries. Decide how many hours you're willing to work each day and stick to it. Turn off work notifications after hours and communicate your limits to colleagues and clients. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but boundaries protect your mental health. Second, redefine success. Success doesn't have to mean a corner office or a millionaire salary. It could mean having time to pursue a hobby, being present for your family, or simply feeling content. Reflect on what matters to you and align your goals with those values. The whole entire world isn't meant to be millionaires and CEOs. If it was, we'd self-implode. Third, prioritize rest. Schedule time for sleep, relaxation, and activities that recharge you. Treat rest as non-negotiable, just like a work meeting. If you're struggling to disconnect, try setting a no screens rule an hour before bed or dedicating one day a week to unplugging. Fourth, challenge the narrative. When you see social media posts glorifying hustle, question them. This doesn't mean to attack them on their posts or whatever. But remind yourself that those curated highlight reels don't show the full picture, just like with anything really on social media. Surround yourself with people who value balance over busyness. And finally, advocate for change. If you're in a workplace that expects constant availability, speak up with or to your coworkers. Share research on the benefits of work life balance with your team. Support policies like flexible hours or mental health days. Collective action can shift the culture. Hustle culture has convinced us that our worth lies in how much we produce, but that's not true. We are more than our to do list. By rejecting the pressure to constantly hustle, we can create lives that are richer, healthier, and more meaningful. It's time to stop glorifying overwork and start valuing balance, rest, and joy. Thank you for watching. If this video resonated with you, please consider leaving a like, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe for more content like this. Let me know in the comments. What's one way you're breaking free from hustle culture? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, stay true to yourself, take care of yourself, and prioritize you. Jimmy Talks out.